The suspension of breath is the void where meditation occurs. So, where we retain the breath, that is holding of the breath, that is where the meditation occurs. That is the point where we meditate, we try to connect, okay, with our spirit. Okay, so that is how the middle void is essential. Nothing can happen without it. Hence, the importance of white unpainted space in Chinese landscape. Now, what the author wants to tell about this middle void is that this middle void is a small space which is left unpainted in white color, which is basically the middle void which is left so that you can meditate, you can connect to the spirit of the painting. Okay. So, this is also where man finds a fundamental role. In that space between heaven and earth, he becomes the conduit of communication between both poles of universe. Now, see here what he is trying to make you understand is the spiritual aspect, that how you will travel through this materialistic world to the supernatural, the spiritual world, and how you can move. That is the fundamental role of the man to be played. While he is interpreting the painting, while he is moving through his imagination, he is flowing through that landscape in that abstract art form, then he is the conduit of communication between the two poles of the universe. The two poles of the universe, yang and yin. So, what is the role of the man? That he has to travel and he has to communicate between the yin and yang, and in between of that, the interaction where he will find the middle void, there he will find the actual spirit of that painting. Okay. His presence is essential, even if it is only suggested. Okay. So, this is also essential aspect, that his presence should be there. Far from being lost or oppressed by the lofty peaks, he is in Francois Chang's wonderful expression, the eye of the landscape. Now, see what he is saying, that Francois Chang's, he has drawn a wonderful expression, and that expression says the eye of the landscape, and that eye of the landscape is the middle void, the blank, the white part which is left unpainted, and that is where you can find the spirit of the painting, where the man's role is, the viewer's role is to travel through his imagination and reach that spiritual point while he is flowing, while he is interpreting, viewing that painting. Okay. So, now as we can see here, this is the next part of the chapter. This extract has been from the landscape of the soul, from the ethics and spirituality in Chinese painting, and it has been slightly edited. Okay. Now, there is another part of this chapter, that is the outsider art. Now, outsider art is a concept where those talented people who are not being trained, that means outsider art is raw art, okay, raw art, or you can say the art bird, that means the painter who is not been trained formally to take up painting, who is not a professional painter, but he has the talent and he is created certain art forms. Those art forms are considered in this category of art, that is outsider art. Now, here there is a French painter, Jean Dubuffet. See here, a French painter, Jean Dubuffet. He mooted the concept of art birth in 1940s. The art of untrained visionary was of minority interest. See, they were not these painters who are untrained, they are not considered to be the part of the mainstream classical art form painter associations, or you can say they are being considered to be inferior painters. Okay, so from its almost veiled beginnings, outsider art has gradually become the fastest growing area of interest in the contemporary art internationally. So, over the time, right from 1940s, the journey started where this concept was being given a name by the painter Jean Dubuffet, and this particular contemporary art has now been traveling and it has journeyed over the time, and now it is the fastest growing area of interest for those people, for those artists who are not formally trained. This genre is described as the art of those who have no right to be artists, as they have received no formal training, yet show talent and artistic insight. So, those artists who have an artistic insight, who have a talent, real talent of art, they understand the art forms, but they have not received any formal training. They are not trained to be a painter. So, in that case, these art forms are being described, they have basically considered that they do not have any right to paint. Now, their works are a stimulating contrast to a lot of mainstream offerings. Okay, so they also have a say, but then too they are having a very contrasting manner of art forms than the main classical mainstream art forms. Now, around the time Dubuffet was propounding his concept in India, an untutored genius was creating paradise. Now, simultaneously in India, there was an untutored, means untrained, who has not taken any training, a genius artist. What he was creating? A paradise, a place like heaven. Okay, and years ago, the little patch of jungle that he began clearing to make himself a garden sculpted with stone recycled material is known to the world today as the Rock Garden at Chandigarh. So, you can view the picture here also. Mr. Nek Chand, he is the creator, the old creator director Nek Chand. He was the person who created a beautiful set of sculptures as a garden. He started with a small patch of land, but gradually his passion for following those art and sculpture forms by using recycled materials, waste things. He has used number of waste things in his rock garden, and that is immensely beautiful artwork which he has done in rock garden. Okay, so he is somewhere around 80 years old, and he is now hailed as India's biggest contributor to the outsider art. The 50th issue Spring 2005 of Raw Vision, a UK based magazine pioneer in outsider art publications, and this magazine, UK based magazine, Raw Vision, what he did, this magazine, he featured Nek Chand and his rock garden sculpture. So, on the cover page of that magazine, Woman by the Waterfall, this particular very famous sculpture was the cover page of the magazine Raw Vision. And this was its anniversary issue, and on that anniversary issue, Nek Chand and his art got a huge recognition, while his sculpture came as the cover page of this magazine. The notion of artwork or raw art was of works that were in their raw state as regards culture and artistic influence. So, basically this art form is considered to be at the raw state as stated in the culture and artistic aspects. Okay. Anything and everything from a tin to a sink to a broken down car could be materials for a work of art, something Nek Chand has taken to dizzying heights. See what he has used, wonderfully he has used various broken material, waste material like sinks, he has used broken cars, tins, and all these material he has so beautifully arranged and made them to be the part of, he had created art and sculptures out of these waste materials. Okay. Now, recognizing his art as an outstanding testimony of the Suez Commission, recognizing his art as an outstanding testimony of the difference a single man can make when he lives his dream. So, this was the basic aspect, idea behind his complete art forms. He single-handedly, he was the single man, and his dreams, he made them to come true in the form of rock garden, and that rock garden is an outstanding, beautiful, immensely highly appreciated testimony of the difference which he has created, utilizing the waste material and creating the art forms. The Suez Commission of UNESCO will be honoring him by way of European exposition of his work. So, this is another recognition which he got, that the Suez Commission for UNESCO, they made an offer, they planned that his work will be exhibited over there, and the 5 months interactive show Realms of Nek Chand. So, they are beginning in October, will be held at leading museums in Switzerland, Belgium, France and Italy. So, on all these European nations will be the part of that exhibition, where Nek Chand's various sculptures and art forms would have been exhibited, so that the biggest reward is walking through the garden and seeing people enjoy my creation, Nek Chand says. So, this is his word, that the feeling of satisfaction which he attains, the immense happiness, and what he enjoys is that when he finds, that is the most rewarding aspect of his art form, is when he finds people moving through that rock garden, watching the viewing those art forms, watching the different sculptures, praising them, appreciating that art form, getting inspirations of their life. That is where the biggest reward Nek Chand finds when he finds those people. So, this is how this particular article has been published in Hindustan Times on 28th August in 2005 by Brinda Suri. So this article has been included in the chapter by the author so that he can introduce you the concept of raw art, that is art bird, and in the form of outsider art, and the greatest contribution from India in this outsider art has been given a proper recognition in the chapter The Rock Garden created by Mr. Nek Chand. So this was about the chapter. Now let us discuss few of the thematic aspects of this chapter. One is Taoism. As we have already seen, Taoism is the very basic theme on which the Chinese philosophy and religious traditions are being based, and it is called the other way. As the painter Wu Daozi, he requested the emperor that let him to show that the other way through which he can interpret the painting, he can view his painting. Okay, so that the other way is basically the concept of Taoism. Tao is considered as the origin of all creation. Okay, and Taoism is the spiritual approach to living. So this is about the thematic aspect. Another theme which has been the crucial here, that is Shanshui, which means mountain water, and the word represents the landscape by an artist, that we have seen how it has been described in the chapter. Chinese landscape paintings are basically centered on mountains, waterfalls, water, okay, and mountains are regarded as sacred places in Chinese culture. So now there is one more very important theme which is being described in this chapter, that is yin and yang. Okay, everything in Chinese culture is being classified, is being differentiated in these two into masculine and feminine two elements, that is yang and yin. So yang is the masculine element and yin is the feminine element, and these two are the major elements in which the Chinese culture has been based on. Okay, so the masculine part, the masculine element, the entities, the elements are dry, they are warm, vertical, powerful, and very active, highly energetic. Whereas the feminine elements are, they are horizontal, fluid, moist, okay, and they are cool, soft, very gentle. So these are the basic features of feminine elements. Now the mountain is considered as yang, while the water is considered as yin. Now yang is masculine and yin is feminine, that we have already seen, and the combination of yang and yin, that makes the perfect Chinese landscape with the presence of middle void. Okay, so the interaction of yin and yang is the fundamental notion of Taoism. So that is how thematically this chapter is based on Taoism, that is the presence of yang and yin, masculine and feminine elements of the nature. So this was about the various thematic aspects of the chapter. Now I hope students, you must have understood the concept of this chapter. I request all of you to please go through the chapter very sincerely and prepare the chapter along with the PDF, so that we will take up a live class for this chapter, and there we can understand the various aspects and you can raise your queries also. So, students, do take good care of your health, stay at home and stay safe. Thank you very much.